and wine. Woo. Today we are going to discuss the book called Boy Erased.
Yes.
By Garrard Conley.
Whoop, whoop.
Is it Gerard or Jared?
Gerard. All them R's in there. It's Gerard.
Okay. All right. So the screenplay was written by Joel Egerton, and Joel Egerton also directed this movie. All right. So let's jump into it, ladies.
Sorry, I had to hit my wine first.
Okay. You gonna drink the wine before we vote?
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Just started off early tonight, huh? Mm-hmm.
Yes. So let's jump into the book. What'd you think about the book?
Loved it.
Yeah.
Hated it.
Wow.
I loved it.
It was okay.
I love the concept of the book. It was hard to read just because I got bored often. But
slow.
The
very, very slow.
Content, yes, it was very slow. But the content I liked. I loved the book. It fascinates me to read about, hear about, whatever, on the different viewpoints of church and individuals in the United States.
I agree, Rhea. It's pretty amazing how people get so rooted in their religious beliefs that sometimes you forget about the human side of a person and how your strong beliefs can have a negative impact on them. And I think this book displayed that.
I think sometimes it might not even be the beliefs as a whole. They get caught onto like a sentence or a phrase and kind of take that too far to forget that the sentence, yes, it's effective, but it also has to gear towards a person, a human being.
Right.
So they might ignore other things, but that sentence right there really bothers them. So they want to focus on that versus seeing it all as a whole. So Lynn, you said that you felt it was slow?
Extremely.
Yeah, it was
a slow read.
Usually, I'm churning through those pages, but this one I had to pause and then kind of make sure that I was awake.
Yes, I found myself using this as sleeping aid. I'm just saying.
Did you say sleeping aid?
It was a sleeping aid.
I really want to go to sleep now. I'm going to Boy Erased.
I'm like, okay, babe, good night.
I like the book. Thank you for illustrating this, because we all got a show. Thank you.
Yeah. But it's funny to me how people interpret the Bible in their own way, because they take the Bible and they spin it to kind of make their point for the place where he went. Mm-hmm. I think certain parts of the Bible they use like God didn't want will never forgive you. He's not going to love you or whatever, and people interpret. Unfortunately, they interpret that.
That happened a lot. In every retort that the main character, Jared, had, there was a comeback. But it was a comeback that was from the Bible, but it also was misconstrued to prove his point, even though a different person reading it would have interpreted it differently. Exactly. And so I think that every single time he had any kind of question about this conversion therapy, there was always an answer to it that made him question, okay, I can see what you're meaning it by. That's not how I read it or I learned it, but I see where you're coming from. So that, I think, was the mental game that this conversion therapy was playing on that.
Right.
How did you view the mother's interaction with Gerard, in the book?
So I really liked her role in the book. Where did this film take place? So I felt Southern vibes.
It was
Arkansas.
Yeah, Arkansas.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I felt like she sort of was this Southern wife, preacher's wife, that really had to follow the guidance and the law of her husband. And
she mentioned
especially
going along.
Yeah,
especially being a pastor.
Yeah.
Yes.
And she struggled with that because her love for her son was so strong. So I just think the way that they captured her struggle of trying to love her son and be there for her son, but still support the mission and the ideologies of her husband was brilliant, because I'm sure there's plenty of families that struggle with that. But I love the way that she came around in the end and apologized to her son. I was not there for you. I did not care for you the way that I should have, but I'm not doing that anymore.
Yes, I love that. And I think that it also was portrayed well in the movie, too.
Yes.
Nicole Kidman did a good job of making just even her facial expressions while she was talking to her son, because she was able to make eye contact a few times, but then she also looked down, that she was so ashamed with her actions that she disappointed her child, that I really think that Nicole Kidman played that relationship between mother and son, Christian mother and Christian son, also very well.
Mm-hmm. How did you like the casting? Because that was one of the things that I was thinking about. Like, I didn't necessarily picture her.
Oh, I didn't
really at all. Yeah,
but
didn't picture who?
Nicole Kidman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't either. At first, when she first came on like the screen, I was like, why would they choose Nicole Kidman?
Especially if you see the real mother. Because they showed it at the end of the movie. It looked nothing like, other than the blonde hair.
But at the beginning, that's not what I imagined.
At all.
From reading the book.
And then as she was going along, as she, but as the movie was going along, I originally started to see how and why they chose her to play that character, because I think that she did a really good job.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Of just like body expression, just standing in the back and waiting for her husband to talk. And when they were having their arguments, I think that her body language portrayed a Southern Christian mother, and even by the things that she said, they were very wholesome, South-oriented. So I was pleased, but not what I imagined, especially after seeing the end of the movie where I was like,
wait.
I didn't picture her at all.
What?
Yeah.
But
Dad was spot on.
Russell Crowe.
Yes.
Russell Crowe was spot on.
Yes, he was.
I completely agree with you, Ray.
But so was I guess, I don't know whether he was the pastor of the conversion center, Victor.
Oh, yeah.
Sykes. I feel like he played that role because he was so creepy and forceful with the students or the people.
So that was the director and the screenplay writer that played that role.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you notice the director's last name, which I didn't put the two together until we were talking about the cast, and I was like, he's the director and the screenplay writer, but he played a character. I did not put it together.
Yeah, it was great casting himself for that role.
Because he came across what you would imagine a creepy cult-like place like that. It seemed like he would have been. It's the perfect fit.
So back to that storyline. I don't recall this in the book, but in the movie, when I watched the movie, you know how they do sort of the snapshot of where people are now and what they did later on in life. And so in the movie, I'm watching the closing, and I see that the Victor Sykes character leaves the camp and is now living with his husband.
I read that too.
Was that in the book?
No, it was not in the book.
Okay, because I was like, are you kidding me? This notion of abusing people, knowing that you feel the same way that they do, it's just horrific.
It's not even just being a hypocrite. I mean, it's a form of abuse.
Right.
To be honest.
Yeah, it is.
That's what I think it is.
And another thing that was shocking, they were saying that these theory conversions places or whatever, it's still legal in 38 states.
Yes! I saw that.
Still legal in 38 states.
That was hard for me to swallow when I read that. I was just like,
I cannot believe that.
This still... I mean, there's a lot of things that are still legal that I totally disagree with. Seeing a movie, knowing that 38, over half, like almost all of them, are still legal, and that just blew my mind.
Right.
Well, because they're Christian based, and so if you have that deep feeling and it's supported by your congregation, you're going to continue to thrive.
And the protections of religion. I mean, religious organizations have a lot of protections.
Yeah.
So you're right. They can continue. And, I mean, honestly, the underlying fact that they're moneymakers. I mean, the guy said, I think you need to stay around for a while. I'm thinking, at $3,000? What was it, $3,000 a week or something? One of the kids said. It was just crazy. And then the amount of suicides that happen as a result of these camps.
Right.
They should be shut down.
Yeah.
They're just abuse towers, right?
Yeah, I agree.
What do you guys think about Flea?
I love Flea. Well, I love Red Hot Chili Peppers. I didn't like him in this movie, though. But
You didn't?
No, he was mean. I don't like him.
I loved him.
I mean, he was just mean in the movie.
supposed to be.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Well, he played the part. I'm just saying he wasn't my favorite. He did a great job.
Oh.
But yeah, I just don't like
The point of what we're asking.
When you end up hating a character,
I know, right?
You know that they did a good job acting in their role. When you
That is
hate
a good
them.
point.
You're absolutely right.
I just love how he went through his own struggles and his own battles with addiction and sexual addiction and drugs and everything.
You talking about real life?
Yeah,
Flea.
my bad. I should have probably said that earlier. My bad.
I don't recall that in the story. What are you talking about? Right?
Flea himself that played as the drummer in Red Hot Chili Peppers. he himself had those struggles.
Gotcha.
And so I think that that's one of the reasons why he chose to play in this movie, the movie was because he had went through his own, slew of rehabs and different types of rehabs. And he had literally sought out different types to see what would work. And I think that really honed in for him with this type of book made into a movie. Yeah. Is that he really felt the connection for that. Mm-hmm. And that's probably another reason why he played so much of a harsh character, was because that probably happened to him at one of the rehabs that he went to.
Probably.
And that was one of the reasons why I loved his character, I loved Flea as his character. His character I hated because I just, he was like...
mean. Yeah. He nailed that character. He was mean.
One thing I didn't like is they changed a lot of the names of the characters in the book in the movie.
Yeah, and I don't
understand why. Because remember the guy that raped Gerard, his name was David in the book. But in the movie his name was Henry.
Yes.
Yeah, and Gerard was supposed to be Jared.
I was waiting for David's character to come in the movie.
Right, I was waiting the whole time wait.
I was like, wait, did I miss?
Yeah, once he raped him, then I was like, wait. Yeah, I was so confused.
But I don't know why they did that.
I don't understand.
Maybe there's some sort of rights that you have to get permission when you move it into a movie.
Well,
if it's a true story.
That's a good point.
But he's a director, and it happened. No, he wasn't the one that it happened to, though. That's probably why. Okay. So, yeah, you're probably right then.
Because a lot of people may not necessarily read the book, but when you're on the big screen, then people can identify with you a lot easier. So there could be some sort of permissions that you need if you're going to go to the big screen.
Or all the names could be incorrect. And they were just putting names on people. That's some research for later.
The mystery. I'm sure Lynn will find out. Right. Tell us. Yes. Were you all confused about why he could not leave the place when he was in college and over 18? Why couldn't he just walk away?
Because I think at that point he probably had to sign some documentations actually committing himself there. Because the nurse or doctor, I should say, the doctor in the beginning said,
Muldoon?
Yeah, Dr. Muldoon basically said, right now, what's going on, you have a choice. And that's why he was given that opportunity to be able to say whatever he wanted to say to her, because she could make sure this didn't happen. She was explaining that to him. But once he met with the doctor and the other doctor, and he basically said, yeah, I want help, then he's signing himself into somewhere. Just like if you sign yourself into some sort of other institution.
Right, but you're free to leave. He said that too, that he's free. They can't stop him from leaving whenever he wants to leave. That might
have been his assumption, but there are a lot of institutions. If you sign yourself in saying you have a problem, then you're staying there throughout the duration of whatever you signed up for. Right, so if it was a 30-day program or a 60-day program or whatever.
But he ended up leaving. That's what I'm saying. So he could have left anytime because he left when his mom came.
I think that he left because she came and got him, and all the drama that had to go with it. But I think they weren't going to release him.
So I did get that argument. Yeah, I got the impression that he only was able to leave because his mom was there. Because remember, they were hiding everything from the parents. They just had to let him go. But I feel like if she wouldn't have showed up, he wouldn't have had the option of leaving.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, everybody walks out all calm, sits on the street side and wait for their parent to come, or whoever's ride is coming to get them. And they're all at a calm mental place. But when they're in the heat of him literally abusing them, he didn't want his mom coming to get him at that point, because that can show that he was doing wrong, basically.
Exactly. And I think that was also a crucial part in the movie that they did a good job of portraying, when the other gentleman, which I can't think of his name, was kind of explaining to him, you want to get out of here, play the part. Just go with the flow, fake it till you make it.
The other one just to get out. Through that a few times.
Yeah, right. It's like, if you want to get out, just fake it. Which I kept saying, just go along with it. Just pretend.
It's scary.
So you can get out. Horrible. Like, why do they have to go along with it? Oh, it just breaks my heart. But the guy that had been through it a couple of times, Cray Cray.
Yeah.
I mean, you go through that a couple of times. Yeah,
he was just like, I can't touch. I'm not touching nobody. And he had a big cut on his nose.
Yes. was.
Random black guy came back with.
That was John, I think his name was.
What was his name?
John.
Okay. And then the poor guy that ended up committing suicide.
Yeah, that whole thing was heartbreaking. His whole part of the story
when
was
they had
completely
his
heartbreaking.
little sister come up and
hit
right,
exactly.
I had to turn my head away from the screen for a couple seconds because I had to regroup mentally that I was not at that church. I was sitting on my seat at the theater, so I had to remember that I'm not part of this right now.
I know, that was hard.
You do have to kind of move, because you think about it. Yeah, it had a huge impact on him because he ended up committing suicide. Mm-hmm. But think about the sister that knows that's the last time she saw her brother. Mm-hmm. She beat on him.
Right.
So they are focused on changing these people, converting these people, whatever they want to call it. And then they put so much blame on their family members, but they're putting it on their past family members, as in the ones that are older, the uncles, the aunts, the dads that had their addiction or other kind of
brainwash.
Yes.
To help brainwash, yeah.
They're not putting it into their heads that they also affect their siblings. Correct. Or the younger sister or younger brother. So I think that was one of the other things that was hard for Cameron was he saw how it affected his sister. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I wouldn't be able to swallow that pill either. But
exactly.
I think that these people that are creating these conversion therapies they're putting blame and they're not realizing that it affects more than the ones they're blaming.
Yeah, I thought it was outstanding, but I was so just very excited that, he had the courage to put this out.
Oh man, yes.
Yeah.
That's some courage right there.
Yeah. Because those camps, and I think he displayed it in the book and in the movie, are just about self-hate. Mm-hmm. The people who are running them hate themselves.
Correct. Well, like you said at the end, he had a husband.
Yeah.
And he probably didn't want to accept that he was gay himself. Mm-hmm. And so his way of coping is what he thought he was doing. He was portraying that out onto other people, that they should hate themselves just as much as he hates himself.
Yeah.
Do either of you remember the bathroom scene when Gerard was going in to go to the bathroom and he kind of looked out the window and he saw
the counselor, Victor?
Yeah, Victor outside. I felt like something was missed there. I remembered something in the book that was a little bit more impactful about that scene.
That he picked up on something?
Yeah, that he picked up on something with him outside.
That he had his hands on his hips the wrong way?
Yeah, it was something. It was something like that. That it was very subtle.
Yeah.
And it didn't come across. So I said I'm gonna have to go back again to the book.
Yeah.
Because you always have to go. Wait, did I remember that right? Let me go back.
Yes.
So I have to go back to recall that scene because there was something that I missed.
And I think they tried. I guess they missed it too in the movie because it was something he apparently saw. At least they made it. They wanted you to think that he saw something. But I couldn't grasp what he saw in the movie either because he looked at him and then he turned around and was going to walk away. Then he got caught.
Yeah. So, what do you guys think about the rape scene? Were you confused? Didn't it just seem like it didn't have to happen the way they portrayed it?
I loved it.
I just felt like, how is this happening?
I'm gonna need you to tone down your enthusiasm.
No, I mean, I loved it. It seemed harsh. It seemed, him screaming and hollering. I thought they did such a good job. It just seemed weird that he was able to do all that in a twin bed, but
that's where I was. It just seemed like, how did that,
Well, it was also kind of awkward because he, slowly turned around him, and I was bro, you haven't noticed the red flags?
Exactly.
As he awkwardly climbed over you.
Right.
He didn't try to kiss you or anything.
Nothing.
He just literally crawled over you, and you just.
I know. It's I'm sorry.
Not as a blame, but it's just the way that it was.
On your back.
Yeah, just the way that the movie kind of portrayed that scene to me was
very weird.
I didn't like the way they did it.
But if you go back and watch, because he didn't actually just really kind of go over him. He actually stuck his hand under the cover and was doing something under the cover first.
No, I know
where he was. I think he was confused and kind of feels good. Wait, feels good. Wait, and then he just jumped up.
I missed the whole jumping aspect.
But the jump, I don't know how that happened.
It was a slow
because he was still holding on to something underneath them blankets.
Well, yeah, I get that, but it was like a slow creep. It was kind of weird to me. I get that they were trying to make it seem like he was novice at this experience. So I did portray that from everything. Mm-hmm. But it just seemed awkwardly slow. Mm-hmm. If he was planning on raping him, he wasn't going to slowly creep around him and be like, let me just tiptoe. You don't see me climbing behind you.
I'm invisible.
And that's what I was thinking.
You can't see me. You can't see me.
Exactly.
And see, I took it as he also was fighting his own, like he had this is what I'm going to do. But I felt like maybe he still kind of felt like, let me just ease into this so I can then hurry up and get it before he
But if they were going to make a rape scene, I feel like they should have had him sleeping on his stomach maybe, and the guy come down and kind of ease, and then he's looking around like not knowing you're already on your back, so it's no, I don't know, it's just, it was the whole.
That might be how it happens. It's a true story.
Yeah, I mean,
it was just weirdly portrayed.
It was portrayed very weird to me, and it didn't seem believable.
Well, after
the way that they portrayed
he
it.
was comforting him because he was having a whole "what did I just do" moment. I would have, there's no way I would have been sitting there.
I wouldn't be there because I thought that was whole fake. Like, let me just break down and cry because it's not the first time
I would have called him on his BS and been like, you're not sorry for what you did.
No, you're not. And you're sitting there, right? We would go to battle because he's not a small guy.
They're the same size.
Right. So you're not going to sit here and start crying after you raped me.
Value of what's happening, but
I think he was internalizing the fact that, these are his feelings too. And so he didn't want to then go off on him because then he probably would feel just as bad as the people that are damning him because of his feelings. So I don't necessarily think that at that point it was more about he just raped me as it was about, we're both gay and we're both having to figure out a way to deal with it. Because then later on, I think I've been raped hit him. Because that's when he started breaking down and everything. I was just so mad he just didn't tell his parents what happened.
And so that's what I was thinking, that he wasn't the best communicator throughout.
Yeah.
So even when he was in the midst of that scene, like he couldn't process quick enough to figure out how to handle that.
Yeah.
That's a good observation.
Yeah.
Because he just seemed lost a lot of the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's true.
Okay, so let's go ahead and give our vote on this movie. To book to movie transition.
I loved the transition. Absolutely loved it. Adaptation, whatever. I loved it. It's getting a full glass from me because I felt like they stuck to the point. They made the characters come across how I pictured them in reading the book. Except for the mom, I didn't necessarily pick her, imagine her, I should say, when I was thinking about the character. But she portrayed that role, so I personally think that I'm giving them a full glass.
Well, I'm going to give this a book to movie a long day. Mainly because I did not like them changing their names of the people. I really don't like that. Like, cause I got confused on certain characters, so I don't like being confused. Okay? So, I think I'm going to go with a long day.
Well, I enjoyed the movie. The book was very slow, Lynn. I agree with you. But I think the adaptation was great. I think they did a good job. They definitely stuck with the storyline. Wasn't a lot of modifications. So I'm going to give it a full glass.
My initial thought was a long day's work, but I really didn't have a justification. So I don't know why that was my first thought. As I went back to rethink about the book to movie, I realized that there was nothing that was significantly off that would give me that vote. So I decided as a full glass.
Okay, almost got a full bottle. Almost.
But negative.
So, be sure to look us up on the next podcast. Got a lot of books coming, some new ones.
Got some new things we're going to be putting out there for you to pay attention to and jump on board.
We're brainstorming.
Follow us on Instagram at Read, Watch, Wine.
Subscribe.
Thank you.
Subscribe.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.